Today I am going to be giving some quick thoughts on Hills of Heather and Bone by K.E. Andrews. When I started this book, I was intending to make a video analyzing its prose, or something to that effect. It was going to be sort of just an analysis of the style of the writing, because I felt that the style of the writing was very weird. And I will talk about that a little bit right now, but as I got further and further into this book, one of the main things that I noticed was I just got more and more used to the way it is written, and I was noticing it less and less. And so it is not going to be the only focus of what I'm going to say right now about this book. It is going to be what I'm going to start with right now. So first thing about just the way that K.E. Andrews writes, which I think is a good thing, is I feel that she is in fact very good at establishing atmosphere, at setting a scene, that kind of thing. This is by no means a badly written book. Philip was very positive about the prose of this in his review of it, which is on his channel. It was a Spiffbox finalist last year. So it's not badly written. It is maybe poetically written, I think. I mean, that sounds very positive, and as you can see, there are things I like about the way it's written. There are things I don't like. But I do think that is a somewhat decent way of describing it. The writing feels, at points, somewhat poetic. Not to the extent that, like, The Slow Regard of Silent Things is poetic, but to a lesser extent, I do feel like that is a good way of describing some passages in this book. Now on to the things that I did have a problem with, or just found slightly odd in some way. The first thing is this book is written in present tense. In fact, it's written in first person present tense, which is not necessarily a problem. It's just something that is abnormal, and that's just a piece of information for anybody watching this. If you know you like stuff written in first person present tense, then maybe you should read this book. The other things are things that I do have slight problems with. There are just certain sentence structures that she really likes that I don't. And she uses them a lot. Or what feels like a lot to me. The other thing is there are occasionally, bits of dialogue or other things in this book that feel a bit cheesy to me. Now, that's not necessarily a deal breaker. Brandon Sanderson is my favorite author, and he has lots of cheesy dialogue. In addition, there are a couple places at the start of this book where there will be a sentence with the infinitive of a verb in it. And instead of saying, to blank, she will use and blank, and verb instead of to verb. And if you know what I'm talking about, this is a thing that English speakers do in everyday speech in certain contexts. But I've never seen it in a book before. And the only reason that I could see to put it in a book would be to create a sort of feeling of modernness, which I don't think was the intention, really. I think she just did that, and I don't like it. It only shows up pretty much twice, I think. It's not really a big problem, but I thought it was weird. If you know what I'm talking about, it's, you sort of have an infinitive, an infinitive in the middle of a sentence, and instead of saying he's going to go to wash the laundry, is that a good example? You say he's going to go and wash the laundry. I think that's an example. Is that an example? Probably. So that happens. The other thing is this book definitely has some editing problems. It's not something that I think should affect anybody's enjoyment of the book, really, because it doesn't show up constantly, but this book certainly does have more editing errors than most books that I read, which may have some connection to the fact that it's self-published, but it's not jarring. It's not like every page there's an editing problem, but there's more than in most traditionally published books. Before I get to my final major point, I'd like to say that there are a lot of cool illustrations of plants, of flowers, really, in this book. I believe they were done by the author. I'm not certain of that, but I believe they were done by the author. That's pretty cool. They're nice drawings of plants. The cover is also good, and in terms of those nice drawings of plants, that's also how she names chapters. K.E. Andrews names her chapters after, at least in this book, she names her chapters after flowers. So all the chapters have the name of a flower and they have a drawing of the flower. It's nice. And then the final major sort of point that I have about this book is about the magic. I don't think the magic in this book is written well. Now, the magic of the main character, whose name is Morana, is actually a sort of cool idea. The idea there is she's sort of a necromancer, and she can hear the bones of the dead, and the bones of the dead tell stories. I think it says on the back of the book. So this is a good catchphrase, actually. I don't know why she put a different catchphrase on the front, but the bones of the dead hold stories. It's a good catchphrase. I do like the idea for her magic. So the problem is not really there. It's the problem with the other characters in this book and the way that their magical powers are written. Although a general thing is, I would say, there are times where the magic just feels very overpowered in ways that I don't like. The main things that I have problems with are the abilities of other magical characters in this book. For example, I think the plant magic just feels extremely generic, just feels sort of cheesy, at least, very stereotypical. And it's not a sort of plant magic that I like. It doesn't feel magical. This book has soft magic, but some of the magic at least doesn't feel magical. So basically what that is soft magic, but without what makes soft magic good. And I am being a bit negative on these parts in this section, but as I said, the magic of the main character is a good idea. Some of the other things that aren't magical abilities of characters are written decently well. But if you look at the plant magic, there's just this desire, I think, to make plant magic a combat magic, because this shows up, it feels very like D&D-ish. I've had this problem too, I think, when I was in some stories that I wrote years ago, or maybe D&D campaigns. It feels like there's sometimes a desire for plant magic to be a battle magic that can rival fire magic, and then so you have these super speedy growing vines. I don't like super speedy growing vines. And I think you see that thing a lot. It's just the obvious solution that everybody comes up with is, let's give our plant magic person the ability to make super speedy growing vines. Right. And then even a lot of the other sort of what we would think of as elemental-ish space magic feels like that too, cheesy and stereotypical. Now that I've got that out of the way, I think I've said most of the points that I was planning on making in this video, so I will say, overall, I did enjoy this book. I didn't love it, but, you know, like, I cared about the main characters. I think it's well done in most ways, although it never really hooked me, but that may be because I read it extremely slowly. So probably that's just my fault.